Vellacis, a first-generation American, wants to enlighten your mind to everyday life as a first-gen in today's America. There is a perception in today's society, and Oscar is going to dive in and dissect the reality of being a first-gen. Join Oscar and his guests from all walks of life, discussing their trial and tribulations in today's America. Now your host, Oscar Villacis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of First Gen American. My name is Oscar Villacis, and before we get started, a special shout out to you, our listeners, our followers, everybody that comments, interacts with our lives on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on all of our social medias. We thank you. We're going on 2 years. Actually, we're more than 2 years strong going into this, and just an amazing stories and all of our first gen guests within our platform here. We are so privileged and honored to interview all of you amazing individuals out there propelling forward. So to you, thank you. Also, to our sponsors, Fences Unlimited, fabricating fences for over 40 years. If you need it done or if you need a certain custom height, I know that within our state and our city, if you go any taller than 8 feet, you have to take out a permit. So I know that some places like Lowe's and Home Depot, they sell 6x6 or 6x8. But if you're trying to get just 7 feet, they're actually able to custom make your fence height, which is awesome. And then that width of that gate that you're trying to make, special orders could be tough sometimes to, going through catalogs and picking the right fences, but Fences Unlimited will actually create it for you. So that's a plus. And they're brick and mortar right here in the Granite State. Also, if you're looking for a job opportunity, they're hiring in all areas of their business. So please reach out to fencesunlimited.com. And to put you on the top of the list, make sure that you tell them that FGM sent you. Thank you to Alan and all the great team at Fences Unlimited, and reach out at fencesunlimited.com. All of a sudden, we have restaurants that are popping up, but not like this restaurant. Rivera Nayarit is a seafood, authentic Mexican cuisine with, you can get anything that you want from the coast of the traditional coast taste of Mexico and Rivera Nayarit. Family-owned, women-owned business. Shout out to Carla, an amazing entrepreneur propelling forward. And if you're making yourself up north, which a lot of us are doing, because the weather is getting hot and we're going to the Lakes region, and you want to stop by Manchester, make sure that you reach out to them at Mi Jalisco as well. Also, if you're looking for traditional Latin snacks and cuisine and seasoning, and you're feeling creative with a little bit of more spice, head over to Zapopan. Zapopan is a beautiful, unique store market here within our community that offers all sorts of snacks and seasonings from all over Latin America. Shout out to Fabiola as well. And also the Chamber of Commerce connecting with FGM to bridge the gap within different diversity and community, and including more of that equity and inclusion within their their demographics. So shout out to them, and thank you for the opportunity of collecting and collaborating. We are their sponsors, and they are our sponsors, and connecting together, we are propelling the community forward with young entrepreneurs from the Black and Brown community. Also, I can't thank enough of all of you, but especially the individuals that that are going through some hard times right now, but they're holding strong. Don't be so proud to reach out to New Hampshire Housing. New Hampshire Housing has a great opportunity to help you with your rent. Never be too proud to get ahead and keep consistent. Thank you guys for all of our sponsors. Thank you to all of our listeners. Today's show is going to be a great one. Hajabul Jin to our good friend, and Ni Hao to Miss Lily Tang. Welcome to our show. Miss Lily Tang, naturalized first-gen American right here within our community, running for Congresswoman and doing such an amazing thing, and was also alongside with me with our second edition of 603 Diversity. Shout out to 603 Diversity, Ernesto and Rick and Roberto and all the great teams, like my partner as well, the editors that made all of that magazine, the second edition, possible. Also, the third edition is out, so if you're interested, 603diversity.com. Welcome to the show, Miss Tang.
Hey, 你好.
Ni hao.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Long
This is
time.
great. What a great studio, and you guys are, entrepreneurs in heart and start
so
this
much.
show. That's great. My pleasure to be here. Absolutely.
It's our pleasure to share the platform and to hear your amazing story today. You come from a great background, born in China, and have such an amazing story of now becoming a congresswoman, and to becoming a congresswoman and taking that leap. Tell us how that journey all started, coming here to America, and why did you leave China and your background?
That's why I asked you. You were born in this country. You say
Right.
yes. It's like
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
So a lot of individuals that don't get the premise of the show, sometimes they're like, no, I'm a first generation, or I'm not quite sure, I'm second generation, I wasn't born here. So first generation means if you are the first to be naturalized citizen as a first generation American, or first born from your family, or either or. So you took that leap and you became a first generation American.
Right.
That's an amazing strive all the way from China. I myself have been to China. I was
That's where you learn Mandarin. 你好.
a little bit. My Mandarin is 您好. It's so not that good. But
Yeah, I haven't been back to China since 2015.
Yeah.
And what happens that I have been speaking around the country to share my personal stories growing up in a communist country, and I got threatened 2019 to say, you better not come back.
Really?
I know. So now I'm running for Congress. I have so many trolls attacking me, threatening me, and trying to discredit me. But the thing is, though, I feel like this is my new country. If I cannot master that fear to come out to tell the truth,
Right.
and then I'm not doing my citizen's duty, because I love this country. I want to give back, and at least what I can do is tell the truth. If you live in China for 24 years, have lots of personal stories, you eyewitnessed everything, and how could the people discredit that personal eyewitness stories, And so I got lots of families still in China, so I don't want them getting into trouble. Right. To summarize my personal journey from China to New Hampshire, I was born in China, into Sichuan province. If you like spicy food, that's where the most spicy food is, the Sichuan province.
Let me tell you something. So we have business partners in China in Guangzhou, and south of China is more seafood, spicy, and it speaks Cantonese.
Right, next to Hong Kong, right?
Next to Hong Kong,
right.
2 hours away from Hong Kong. That's where we were. And going north of China, you have that speak to the traditional. Cantonese is traditional Chinese. Mandarin is more of like modernized.
National.
National.
We call the 普通话 means Mandarin for whole country to speak. But the Sichuan people have their own dialect called Sichuanese.
Right.
Now, if you go to East China, like a Shanghai area, then they speak Shanghainese. When I went to college in Shanghai, like from 1981 to 1985, it was like a foreign language to me.
Wow.
I could not understand. So professors were teach us in Mandarin, but all of a sudden, if he want to crack a joke in Shanghainese, all the Shanghai people were laugh and about 20 of us from outside of Shanghai is like, what is professor talking about? We did not know how to laugh. But after stay there for 4 years and later another 3 years as a faculty member, I can understand actually Shanghai dialect probably about 70%. But when I speak it though, you cannot get that right. It's very unique, beautiful dialect. But of course, Sichuan people are kind of like I'm married to a Texan, my husband. That's how blessed I am. When I come over from China at the age of 23, I met my husband the first night.
Wow.
In Austin, Texas. He was single. He just waited at his mother's house, and I showed up and say hi. And now, this month, we'll be married for 32 years.
Wow.
3 beautiful children.
Congratulations.
Now you know how grateful I am for America, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I have to suffer all the years and fully a communist country, come here, then first night, it's like my luck changed.
Yeah.
So fortunate.
Why, we all know the sacrifices of leaving our countries for a better opportunity to come to the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your journey like, and how did you come to that decision that you had to, not have to, or maybe just wanted to leave China?
Mm-hmm.
Being a faculty member over there and having
Great job, right?
Yeah.
Great school in
Exactly.
Shanghai. Why
Right.
do I have to walk away from my own birth country?
Exactly. And not a lot of listeners don't understand that when you transition from your motherland, your doctors, your lawyers, your executives, your professors, your architect, your engineers, and to leave everything behind, it's like saying, all right, guys, America was great, but we're running a business, you're running for Congresswoman. Forget it. Let's just leave. We're going to Canada. What does that conversation look like? We don't speak French Canadian, and what is the sacrifice? Why did you make that decision?
Well, when I was born, my parents were basically illiterate workers, so they were not educated.
What was that? I'm sorry?
Illiterate workers.
Gotcha.
That means they could not even read in Chinese.
Got it.
So that means we were at the bottom of the working class poor inside of a city. And but my parents always value education, so they told me, if you want to get promoted to in a country like that where we only had one party rules called CCP, China's Communist Party, and they control everything. When I was born under basically right before Mao's Cultural Revolution, everybody worked for government, and 6 days a week, everybody, and if your children school age, you go to government schools, and because they kind of central planning economic policy, everybody was poor. So unless you have high position inside the party, right, you get more food rationing coupons. But my parents, for family of 5, we had very little food to eat. So my childhood memories, I'm hungry all the time. Give you some perspective. Family of 5, my parents and 3, children, we had rationing coupons for rice, flour, all the protein, that means all the meat, all the eggs. 1 month, 2.8 pounds. 1 month.
1 month.
1 month for 2.8 pounds of protein, all the meat, all the eggs. Of course, I was hungry, right?
Yeah.
So when I was raised by my grandmother, because my parents could not afford childcare, people think, in the communist socialist country, childcare is free. It's not. Our school were never free either. So my parents were always in debt to pay for our schooling, and could not afford for my childcare. So my grandmother kind of babysitted for us. So my uncle told me to say, "You're hungry? Yes. Did you hear some rats running around? Let's go trap some."
Wow.
So we trap rats to have some meat to suck on the bones. But very quickly, they ran out too. Like today's Venezuela, right? You don't have even animals to eat because they ran out. Everybody's hungry. That's how bad, it is. But I did not know that because they CCP, one party, control all the press, all the media. There's no truth you can get.
Yeah.
I don't know what is truth. So I would just listen to the government, of course, radios and loudspeakers and going to schools. And we long live Chiang Mai-Mao, long live Communist Party. I was indoctrinated, brainwashed until I was 12 years old. Then Chiang Mai-Mao died. When he died, and that was my first wake-up call. I could not, of course, ask people around. I thought he was God. How come he died? We say long live, long live. I knew I could not ask that question because you will be doomed to be counter-revolutionary. Even ask that question.
Really?
I just asked inside my head, "Oh, what happened?" It's like somebody lied to me.
Yeah.
So I figured that out with my own head. Somebody lied to me. He was not God. He was a human being. He died. after years of long never change my mind, 10,000 years, double 10,000 years. So I decided I need to get the best education I can to seek the truth. So I studied very hard. My parents were not educated, but I studied very hard. Ever since college reopened, I could go to best college possible. And so I said, I got to find out the truth, what happened. Because later the Communist Party did tell us Mao was a human being. His Cultural Revolution was a mistake. We were hungry. 20 million people died. 20 million people died. I did not even know that until I come to the United States to find out truth. So I decided I'm going to go to college, seek for truth, and study law. That's why I went to law school. Law school was like a 4 years college in China. Yeah. So I went to Shanghai. I took a 3 days train ride on a hard seat. It was like sitting there like this, right? I was like, oh, sleep, because we were so poor. It's the only thing I could afford. Everybody sit next together. So I was 17. I just turned 17 to study law, 17 to 21. But I would think if we have a rule of law, that means the people like us, common people, regular people, workers, will be protected equally, right? Regardless your party status, how high position you have, how poor you are, doesn't matter. And it's for equality protection, equal protection under the law. But I was wrong. So in law school, they told me, no, law is actually a tool for the party to use to govern its masses. So we were just one of the numbers, masses. Yeah. I was lost again. I become totally rebellious in college. I skipped classes. I went to dancing parties, and I just wanted to rebel because I was lost. Second time. What should I believe now? Is that horrible? When you were like already teenager, later 18, 19 in college, I was totally lost. I feel like I had no meaning in life.
So they're telling you they're teaching you what to learn. Right, they're telling you what to believe.
Yes.
You have this dictator.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mao, a dictatorship party,
right,
too,
and that is constantly telling you, well, what to believe and what to hear. And did you feel at one point that going to law school, you started to unravel a lot of things and see it differently, because now you're starting to get into this control party. You're starting to get into their level and starting to get educated on things. Now you're starting to ask a lot of questions, right?
Right, but you are not allowed to ask questions. So when I
even within school, within a university, and everything that you're teaching, like, because that's how you learn. You learn by asking questions constantly.
So China's colleges, schools all were controlled by government, and all the curriculums were centralized, and so the department education, kind of like here, right? It's called the Ministry of Education in China, in charge of all education. So when I was in college, of course, we were naturally, as college students, supposed to ask questions, exchange ideas. The best thing I discovered in college is that all these smart students like me were asking questions, were rebelling. And we had foreign students in our school, from American, from Europe. Oh. And so they become source of truth for us. Yeah. We love to party with them and pick on their brain with our limited English to say, tell us about your country. So I went to dancing party. Remember, dancing party was banned when I was first.
This was dancing parties when dancing was a thing, not parties where people watch the weirdos dance. And
right. No, we were not allowed to hold like dancing parties in college.
No?
It was not politically correct. And we were not allowed to wear blue jeans because that was doomed still to be a capitalist lifestyle, whatever that is. Right. And your hair could not lay down past your shoulders. It's the same thing. Come under Mao's Cultural Revolution, we had a strict dress code, hair code, and we were not allowed to date. How inhuman is that? Yeah. It's like, oh, I had a crush on this boy. Don't tell anybody.
What were some of the repercussions of something like that? Like if you had a crush, you wanted to dance, or an alcohol consumption wasn't allowed, right?
Well, you could buy moonshine from the street market. Chinese. Well, okay. But it was very strictly controlled in terms of social freedom. Yeah. And so because they want everybody to be political.
Right.
Everybody to talk about politics. everybody loyal to the leader, loyal to the party. So personal freedom, because think about it. If you are falling in love with somebody, your individual romantic love is you by being you, right?
Yeah.
You have this individual love and desire for another person, and it's doomed to be not PC because they want you only focus on the party, the cause, the politics. And the Marxists, communists, they also want to destroy nuclear families, control their words, for example, kind of similarity with today, control their words. My parents could not call each other husband, wife, because they were doomed to be like not a PC, bourgeois or capitalist names.
Yeah.
They call each other my male comrade, my female comrade. And yes, truly. And I could, we don't even want to show love for our parents and families publicly. What we do is to say, we have a song called, my parents are dear, but Chairman Mao is more dear.
What?
Yes. If you study the Cultural Revolution,
that's-
it's called a red song.
Yeah.
Like the red.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Red revolutionary song.
Yeah.
It's-
And to this day, it's still celebrated as Red Day, but it's kind of more. It's not as.
Yeah, well, yeah, China changed
Yeah.
China started to change in 1971 because Mao's policies almost brought down to the entire China's economy. So when Deng Xiaoping became the new leader, he was more practical. He said, well, we need to get some people get rich first because people were starving.
Yeah.
Let's reboot the economy. Let some people get rich first. So he adopted a policy of decentralization and allow people to start their own private business. So my first role model in my neighborhood is one guy who used to work in the state factory with my mom. He said, I'm going to start my own restaurant. And he was the first one to get rich.
Wow.
But it took lots of guts that time to leave guaranteed state factory job to work for yourself under Deng Xiaoping's policy. But he got rich by just working day and night for cook Chinese Chengdu food. His food was good. Then he bought the first motorcycle. Everybody was on regular like old fashioned like a bicycle, right?
Right.
He bought the first motorcycle. When I got past the college exam to go to Shanghai for college, the only gift I got, it was from this rich neighbor. Gave me a new pink flower shirt. Said, congratulations, you are the first one in our neighborhood to go to college.
That's amazing.
I remember that. I had that shirt in one of my old photos. It's like, oh, thank you so much. You can, only you can do this because we grew up on coupons for fabrics.
Yeah.
So once a year for Chinese New Year, I would have new clothes, and but the other times I don't have new clothes. You will have holes on your pants. You patch them up in the winter, so keep you warm. And so if you get a new shirt, that's like that's holiday.
Yeah.
It's like when you have your birthday, you get one boiled egg. Happy birthday, daughter. It's like your stomach is so happy because you got a one boiled egg. Say people don't understand their history. They have to go look into how horrible people lived under that kind of system. I remember very clearly, especially come to this country when I woke up. Took me 20 years to wake up in this country. Because when you were indoctrinated all your life, it takes lifetime to wake up. So I start to think about, I was a little slave, but I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can hear you all day. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, I heard something. So
No.
Oh, you did.
So.
It's
Wow.
shocking to you, huh?
No, yes, because for people that don't know, I was like I went to China, and obviously, what was happening then is still happening now, but for an outsider going into like Guangzhou, which is textile, industrial,
And more rich too.
more rich. Yeah.
Yes.
What a lot of people were saying, especially business partners who lived in the outskirts of Guangzhou because they couldn't afford to live in Guangzhou, they said I was like, the perspective of China coming here as a foreigner is completely different of what others would say. I'm staying. There's a Four Seasons next to the Canton Tower. Beautiful, bless you, productive business. And moving forward, I'm seeing Ferraris, Lamborghinis.
Which
in the
year?
street.
Which year did you go to China for the first time?
17.
Oh yeah, that's way. Say from 1978 economic reform.
Yeah.
And I went to college 1981 to 85.
Yeah.
And then 90s when Deng Xiaoping to say, they were creating economic zones like Guangzhou. And all the east coast area of China turned into economic development zones. So they want to reboot China's economy. So because of that policy, the Chinese actually become more wealthy. And the factories, foreign investment, like where you went to Guangzhou. I mean,
So
it's like
textile.
like a export-oriented economy, and lots of foreign investment, lots of factories you saw in Guangzhou are actually invested by Hong Kongese and Taiwanese.
Really?
I worked in Hong Kong for 2 years,
Yeah.
and from 1996 to 98. And I went to Guangzhou, Shenzhen,
Yes,
and those areas all the time. Tons of factories who focus on making products and all kinds of stuff you sell. Everything.
You want...
So it's amazing
Easter
that
eggs for-
Chinese people are very industrious people.
Absolutely.
And if you have good policies, just leave them alone.
Yes.
And cut regulations, they make sense. They manufacture, they work 24 hours a day.
Right.
And keep factory running and at a very affordable cost. But so sadly today, though, they're going backwards. Today, China is under strict COVID lockdown. Think about 370 million people, more than entire U.S. population, under draconian measure of lockdown right now. So we have supply issue right now.
Yes.
Because China is $18 trillion economy. When they shut down 1/4 of population and the business,
It affects the world.
it's going to affect us too. Yeah, the whole world. So there's lots of things to worry about. But I'm hoping that near Hong Kong area, the factory is still opening. But in lots of places, especially in Shanghai right now, it's 2 months lockdown. I have friends in Shanghai because I went to college there. They're hungry. They're depressed. They could not go out for 2 months now and rely on government delivering food. How can you deliver food to 25 million people in Shanghai?
That I can't fathom that.
No, it's nuts.
I can't fathom
Total
that.
madness.
So what? How are these individuals surviving? How is this country? How can you move forward from this? You shut down a day, it affects a whole month for the world.
Yes, and I just saw a video that one peasant had to go out, start to plant food because this is planting season, right? And he got arrested by police to say, go back to your lockdown. You're not supposed to come here to plant food.
Yeah.
It's outdoor.
Right.
Yeah, it's so sad. My friends said they have like neighborhood groups to buy food online. But so whatever app you can have access, you can order food. But they're gone very quick. They're gone very quick. There's a sad story. One mom was fighting for food purchase online, did not pay attention to one toddler, and that toddler fell outside, from the window and died. And the mom was so heartbroken. And the people have a mental breakdown. I have seen 2 videos. People jump outside the window, just crushed to the concrete floor. I couldn't share that even on social media because I get taken down.
Yeah.
It's too graphic, but
Yeah.
it's the truth. And lots of people don't know what's happening in China. And I have been saying there is a humanitarian crisis right now. And we need to contain their zero COVID lockdown. Even the WHO, the World Health Organization, to say zero COVID is crazy because it's a virus. How
Right.
can you make a zero?
Yeah.
It's not based on science. But they're doing this crazy stuff and bring down entire, like a quarter of a population and the, supply chain. And and we are not calling them out on that. I think the whole world, people who still value human rights, to call them out, to say, we condemn what you're doing,
Right.
To your own people. Let's say if you have older parents live alone, they need a medicine, they need a hospital care for
Nutrients,
other diseases. You don't know what's happening to them because they're under lockdown.
Malnourished.
And how many of them die, you don't know, because those are all censored. I have friends who post videos on like a Chinese app. As soon as I get to watch it, I get a warning. It's censored. It's done. It does not meet the regulation requirement.
I used to have WeChat to stay in contact.
Yes.
Yes. I used
Chinese is very censored.
Right. And I used to have WeChat.
What happened
And
now?
Yeah, as soon as 2020 happened and I was staying in contact with my business partners, as soon as 2020 happened, I got a notification from WeChat that said restrictions guideline. You need to verify that you're a Chinese resident or a Chinese citizen to be able to use this app. If you can't verify, reroute. So what I did was I tried to reroute my VPN, and they shut me out. They booted me out of the application.
Oh.
What is happening? Like, there's a lot of things behind the closed doors. I don't want to throw out conspiracy theorists. This is not that type of thing, right? But Russia with Ukraine, do you think that China is doing this whole strategic momentum to kind of lock grid within the world? Because the United States is happening, we're dealing with our own, supply and demand shortages, the economy, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're funding, we're helping the individuals in Ukraine. And, with the whole situation of Russia, China's put in the middle between the United States and Russia. So they're like, we're pulling out. We have our own situation to deal with, right? What is the relationship? You being a first-gen American, right? Loving this country and then understanding where you came from and the dynamics of an opportunity. Where do you see this relationship going? And how can this affect your family that you have back home?
Well, remember in February, Putin went to China,
Right.
Winter Olympics, shook hands with Chairman Xi. They made a deal, $110 billion that China is going to buy from Russia. I suspect he told Xi, we're going to invade Ukraine. You better have money there to back us up. Because he's expecting the free world is going to put sanctions on him, right? And there were even talk about potentially use Chinese currency instead of U.S. dollars, and for lots of international transactions. Well, you see SWIFT, they kick Russian out, and then how are they going to buy stuff, right? So they're going to rely on China. But then, of course, United States send the information to China. You better not to back Russia. And you better stay neutral. Do not supply them all the products, especially the weapons, the arms, right? But because there are lots of lack of transparency, sometimes you just don't know what they're doing. But I can tell you what she said. Russia and China, we have unlimited alliance. We are unlimited partners.
Right.
What if China also goes crazy, invade Taiwan? Did you say how much? Did you see that the tragedy yesterday? A Chinese American go to Taiwanese American church and killing people because he feel like he's so patriotic still toward China. He hates Taiwanese people who are talking about potentially even not to be united with China. It's how crazy you are in America.
Right.
And you're watching state media, CCTV in United States being brainwashed every day because the propaganda right now on Chinese state media is America is bad, Taiwan is bad, anybody who forms alliance with them are bad, and this guy go to kill the people in the church. It's so sad. It's so sad.
Let's come full circle.
Yes.
Okay. You basically, by you telling me that, in the Chinese perspective of the world of what's happening over there, I'm seeing that happen here between white and the minority communities, right? Exactly what you said about this gentleman watching what's happening in China against Taiwanese and going into a Taiwanese church is tragic, right? that divide that we have going on.
I hate that division.
No different than what happened in Buffalo.
Yes.
Going into a Tops Market, no different than Market Basket.
Yeah, we should condemn all that violence. And we're all American citizens. Can we please just be united? Like I'm talking to you, and you're brown, I'm yellow. What's wrong with our skin color? What with our race?
Right.
Americans brought us together
Yeah.
by the values and freedom, prosperity, American dream. And I don't look at you color. I don't look at your race.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy living here because it took me like a long time to wake up to come to this country with nothing. Right? When I come here,
Yeah.
$100 borrowed. Oh, my professor, $1,200, my sponsor. I had to pay back that money by working hard as a graduate, like a research assistant. And I was very well treated by the Texas people when I lived in their neighborhood. They gave me free stuff. Do you want the pots and pans? Do you want blanket? Do you want like a kitchenware, whatever, clothing? But then I see, this division, do you say lots of Asian Americans got hurt in New York City?
That's what I wanted to
New
come
York
back
City.
to. That's what I wanted to come back to. With everything that happened within the pandemic, a lot of ignorance, especially in LA, not only in New York City, all over the country.
Yes.
All over the country. You being here, proud to be an American, and then seeing that happen within your own community, a lot of racism, a lot of prejudice, a lot of accusing within the coronavirus and COVID and brought from China and this and that. I too have friends. I too have interviewed other Asian American, first generation Americans that talk about this, that talk about, the feel of hatred towards them, towards their mother. I can't imagine you. You're a friend. You're a family to us here. I can't imagine you having a conversation and then seeing something, God forbid, that would happen and that has happened to you at a local grocery store, or because you're running for Congresswoman, you feel a lot of backlash and hatred, right? I can't imagine that. I won't accept it. I feel for you and I feel for your community. How do you feel being a patriot, first generation American, and wanting to give your all to be involved in government and to a country that might not fully accept you?
You know what? In my 34 years here, I just came here in May, 34 years ago. And be honest with you, I have not personally experienced much discrimination because I lived in Austin, Texas. I lived in Colorado. I lived in Wyoming. And they're actually primarily white.
Yes.
Only one time a road incident.
Yeah.
I got into a little verbal argument with this woman, and she started to call me bad name. So I come down to say, well, if I touch your car by accident, I will pay for it, and the insurance will get involved, but you have no reason to call me bad name.
Yeah.
And she's gone. So I stood up myself very professionally, very firmly,
Yeah.
and she could not even argue with me. She's gone. I have the strength in my voice,
Yeah.
I can only recall that one incident, But of course, in Wyoming, when I lived there, and I have an interracial marriage. My husband's white. And when we go out eat with our two little kids in the restaurant, and they look at us, But I really never experienced that. But of course, I do hear other people experience that.
That's uncomfortable, going to a restaurant. You want to enjoy with your family, and then you get these looks,
Yeah. They say so. First of all, I'm not too sensitive. As I said, I show self-confidence. I show respect to other people.
Right.
If they do not respect me, they're going to expect that I will, stand up for myself.
Right,
Nobody's
right.
going to pick on me, And I will call them out.
Yeah.
But personally, generally speaking, I have feel very welcome in this country. And I, of course, was in Texas, Austin in graduate school, and studied my master's degree, actually in social work. I was getting a social work master's degree. And my classmates were so nice because I had language barrier. They would help me to lend me their notes and help me to record the lecture so I can study. It was so difficult for me just to survive the graduate school because of English.
Yeah.
English was tough language for me when you come over like 23 or something. But the thing is, we need to focus on and condemn all racism and condemn that kind of discrimination.
Yeah.
But I also have to focus on moving forward because the civil rights movement in the 60s I studied by, Dr. King, America has come a long way. And the rest of few years, seems like the media also reporting lots of those incidences.
Yeah.
And I hope people were put in contact. But also when you look at the crime situation now, it's like up in lots of major
Cities.
big blue cities.
Yeah.
So what are they doing to contain the crime against all kind of people? It doesn't matter skin color, right? Crime is crime.
Right.
Then we need to look at what kind of policy they have. Do they let the violent criminals out of jail? And do they prosecute them if they do the crimes? During COVID, how many criminals they let out of jail?
Right.
And California, and if you commit this kind of crime, they don't even prosecute you. If you, in California, if you have $600, somebody rob you
Yeah.
and steal that from you, don't even bother call cops.
In California.
Yes, they have a strange,
Petty crime.
it's terrible laws. You give people incentive to commit the crimes.
Right.
So I have seen lots of people just all of a sudden lose purse, lose money when you come out of the bank, and no prosecution because they have a crazy, the attorney general there.
Yeah.
So these policies are really detrimental. I think I want to run on positive, unifying messages, and we need to condemn the discrimination. We need to condemn the crimes, all, this kind of killing, and it's very sad for me to say this.
It breaks my heart to honestly to hear about it. And I've been to China. More welcoming individuals, didn't know the language.
See, they were very warm to you, right?
Yeah, it's just like the perception of what Americans have about other countries, especially the Americans that have never stepped foot out of this country to get educated, to just feel another sense of vibrancy of other cultures. I think we would be a better place if we would step out just for a second and see the world.
They should travel. People should travel.
Yeah, and then and this is the easiest country to be able to get a passport because you're let in literally anywhere.
Nobody wants to go to China now because you'll be forced to quarantine for like 21
days, right?
And you pay for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
I know. Then back and forth, how many days?
Right. I would encourage anybody. Obviously, this hopefully this can go away and China can get back into.
I pray for that. I pray for that.
I feel for your family. I feel for our business partners over there. I feel for our friends.
Yes,
honestly, I can't imagine. 2 years ago, just being locked down for 3 to 4 months. That was just driving.
Think about people run small business like a restaurant, bar, and travel. So, and even now, the real estate companies are filing for bankruptcy. Cannot pay for their debt. Have you heard about the Evergrande, one of the biggest real estate company in China, defaulted, filed bankruptcy, and more and more is coming. And China call themselves the second largest economy in the world.
Right.
But how long can they afford this kind of measures to? They don't even care about hurt their economy, their people's lives, and people dying of lack of access to hospitals and medicines. Did you see that? If you see my video on social media, one mom delivered baby without anything under her on the road.
Yeah.
Because they said you have to wait until we prove you're negative in order to go to the hospital. The baby came out.
Yeah.
Delivered. It's just go. See, that's what happened when you don't have a rule of law.
Yeah.
You only are ruled by men, but the man can be, madman, sociopaths who don't care about people like Mao. What?
Yeah.
Then you have people dying.
Right.
That's why we need to have a rule of law society. Everybody, have some kind of protection and equal protection.
Right.
Instead of one man to say, let's do cultural revolution, let's shut down the 1/4 of the population in China, and we don't care about economy. We don't care about other people's lives. Zero COVID. Oh, yeah, go ahead, declare war on a virus. That's just crazy, Yeah.
I want to talk about, your upbringing, and that comes with a lot of trauma. Here's our word. I know you guys were waiting for it. Here's our word in First Gen American, trauma, right? And with that, how do you separate that and seeing the lifestyle, bringing up 3 beautiful kids and the different lifestyles and appreciation, right? As a parent, how did you learn how to separate your past from your present and the future of your children?
Well, I always tell people when I took that many years to come to this country, I just wanted to live in a free country where I can, have a peace, have a freedom and prosperity to live American dream. I would like to travel. I'm self-employed. I can work from home. I'm so blessed, and I have home business. But I like to travel. I like to see my family and kids, and see the world. But right now, I see some similarities happening. What's happening in the United States? What happened in China? I really feel there is a rise of authoritarianism, and the government gets super powerful. See, people have to understand. When you rely on government for everything, they also can take them away, right? So you need to have a rule of law, have equal protection for all the citizens. And also, we need to stick to the original document that brought me to this country, which is Declaration of Independence, where Bill of Rights are protected. People are born with rights. You cannot cancel their rights because their rights come from God, not from government. So that means the government cannot take them away. So, but I see this rise of tyranny in the United States, especially in big blue cities and big blue states, then they just shut down your rights. They can tell your kids stay home, you cannot go to schools, or you have to get a vaccine to go to schools. You have to get a vaccine to get your jobs back, and we already have supply chain issue, have a hard time to hire workers, and if people cannot work, how do they support themselves and their families? Then they want to create a dependency on government. But I don't want to depend on government. I want to work because I know depend on government, you can also lose everything because then they're going to tell you all the mandates on you, how much you should eat, all that stuff, So I always advocate for more freedom. That's what I came here for. And for the citizens' rights, natural rights, and specified in the Constitution, and government's power should be limited. We do have a separation of powers, but we need our citizens hold our politicians accountable. If we are complacent and we're not activated in the local politics to hold the elected people accountable, then we can be subject to their crazy policies and crazy laws.
You're already speaking like a congresswoman, a candidate for a Congress. You are really well vetted.
But I'm not a career politician at all. I just want to speak as a common person.
Yeah, listen, I want you to clarify. You're not right. You're not left. You're right in the middle of what's right for the people.
Yes,
our people.
Because I feel, because my humble background, it's hard for me to put in a box.
Yes.
I'm a Chinese immigrant. I'm a people of color.
Because
I'm a mother. And but there are lots of Americans like us who are not represented.
You know what kind of radio station we're on, so we want to clarify that because, hey, look at her there.
Well, I love to. I
like her already. She's got my vote. No,
thank you so much.
No
but
problem.
I know you're not political. But the thing is, though, it doesn't matter if you are political or not. The politics are in our daily lives every day because they pass laws, regulations going to affect you. It's going to affect your family, your children, and your business. Frankly, your rights to make a living and your rights to make your own choices. It's American about.
Even women.
Yes, even women too.
Okay.
And because everybody is alive. You have woman's alive, baby is alive. Also, I just don't like both sides sometimes. Like, we only talk about our side of story. I only talk about one life. And how about all lives matter too? How about the baby's life, woman's life? How about everybody's life? You are like a Hispanic, I'm a Chinese American. There's we have so much common ground we can focus on to be united.
Yeah. Instead of building sideways, we need to build up together.
Yes, let's build up together because I truly believe we have so much in common.
Yes.
The common ground is that we're all Americans. We love
Right.
this country. We want to live our American dream. And let's not divide us. And let's have a rule of law to protect people's rights. And also, there are some issues are federal issues, and there are some issues are state issues. Per the founding fathers, state rights, should be stronger. I mean, like a federal government now is super huge and super powerful. But then we are marginalized by the state, if we don't exercise state rights. It's like you live in your town, I live in my town. In New Hampshire, we have lots of towns and cities. And local people should have more control of their local towns.
And more diversity.
More diversity. That's the best democracy, right?
Right. Diversity is democracy.
Also, diversity also all skin colors, all people, but also all ideas, all personalities, all thoughts and minds.
Yes.
There's so much diversity we can include.
Right.
We cannot just pick and choose words to say your diversity, my diversity. It's like, what are you talking about? Can we agree? Can we have conversations, please?
Yes.
Instead of get canceled, if you say something not politically correct,
yeah,
she's racist. Maybe somebody is going to call me white racist someday. I don't know.
Right.
I just want diversity for everything instead of you pick and choose one kind of diversity, one kind of issue. We need to have conversations.
Look at them. They're trying to infiltrate us.
Yeah. I sometimes I think that people's rhetorics are just so bad. I hope you don't have somebody trying to cancel you, right?
Yeah, I wish they would.
Yeah,
I wish they would.
but I got a Facebook sometimes give me warnings and try to take down my posts.
They don't cancel us. We cancel people. That's why we're here.
So
That's why we're here.
so let's say Ministry of Truth, which is like in the book 1984. It's like why would the government involved in free speech? Government not supposed to involve in this at all because government can only protect people's rights, but they should not involve in lots of stuff. Like China have a national security ministry, and you have like now we have this information board by the government, so they shouldn't judge what is true, what is not. Let the people decide. Like you and I listen to something, I don't like this, I'm gonna listen to that. I don't like that podcast, I'm gonna listen your podcast. All kinds people can judge themselves, but government shouldn't get involved. So if they get involved, it's very dangerous. Then they can pick their speech, their side voices, their ideology agendas above you because they think what you say is not correct. But who are you to judge me, right? I think that, fundamentally, if you look at the freedom of speech as a Bill of Rights, if we don't have that, we don't have a civil society, really.
As a first-gen American in the Granite State, what do you want to see change?
I love New Hampshire so far. It's I think we have this inflation issue.
Yeah.
It's on everybody's mind, high gas prices. That's why if you look at my top 6 issues, number 1 is we got to combat inflation. Inflation, some people might not understand, it's caused by government printing money, flooding the market with lots of US dollars. So your $1 becomes 80 cents, So that's called inflation. It's like a tax increase, especially on the working families. And you look at the gas prices, it's pain now to go get my diesel. It's like $6.30 a gallon. Like how long can I drive with that thing, So I think that's on everybody's mind. And I would be advocating for, restraining government's ability continue to print money we cannot afford to, and continue involved with lots of other countries we cannot afford to. We need to focus on our Americans here.
Absolutely.
Yes, because we are suffering right now. If we cannot even protect America's economy, how are we going to actually lead in the world anyway? Right? So I think that would be my top issue. Of course, protect the parental rights. Lots of people are not happy with what's going on in schools. And as a parent, in China, parents never have any rights. So children belong to the state. But this is America. Parents should have some say in that. I don't know if you're, family man or not. I have 3 children, so I was like,
I have 2 babies on the way, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Twins. My wife and
You will be
and I.
super busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to tackle on these twins because I love them.
Great news.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, 谢谢你，我爱你的show. Honestly.
谢谢你，谢谢你，
Thank
非
you so
常
much.
感谢。
很好，很好，很好。Ladies and gentlemen, this was First Gen American with Lily Tang, Miss Tang, candidate for Congresswoman, an amazing guest, and just love your perspective and love what you have to say. And thank you so much for sharing. To all of our sponsors, but a big shout out to the city for always choosing noontime to do some type of construction work right around us, and that's the noise that you hear in the background. Thank you very much.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
USA Radio News.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill